Hello and welcome. This is Kristen from Life of Crafting, and I'm back with another segment of the Sheetload of Cards. That is a sketch released by Call Me Crafty Al on YouTube, and she puts together a sketch that is primarily using up full sheets of paper. Now this particular one, she's calling for 3 different pattern papers in a 12 by 12 inch size. And what she does is she gives you the recipe of how many items you need. And then like this shows if you cut it in that type of, instructions that she provides. Out of those 3 sheets, I would wind up with 9 cards. So I have been doing this. I started in April of 2022, and I started it with a paper pack. And my goal was that if I did one of these every week, at the end of a 3-month period, I would have basically used up a whole full 12 by 12 paper pack. So for me, because I'm starting now and I'm going to have to work backwards to get more sketches, I am now up to December of 2021. And I transitioned into this paper because a lot of her sketches are calling for 3 different prints. And the one I started with is one from Stampin Up that has just navy and white. And a lot of these would have just been very monochromatic. And I didn't want to, like I said, I'm still trying to learn this too. So I didn't want to just do that type of look. So I got into the Stampin Up paper pack called Domestic Goddess. And this is one I have been holding on to for a very long time. And if you look at the other versions of this sheetload, or the other videos that I've done, I've created 2 different cards already with this paper pack. And that was in, if I did October, I think it was March. Oh, maybe I did 3 because I went through March, February, and January going back. So maybe I did 3 with that paper pack. I'm trying to remember now. God, my mind's going. My memory's shot. Anyway, now I'm up to December of 2021. Oh, that's right. I think it was February's use up my paper pack called Candy Cane Lane. That's why I've only had 2. God, thank you very much for remembering. So anyway, getting back to this, I'm into December now of 2021. Again, it's a 3 paper different series. Once 3 different prints. And this is what I have left from the paper pack of the 12 by 12 sheets. So some of these are like this one where there's this on this side and this on this side. This one here has this one here on the back of it. This one here has the sunshine on the back. And then I only have 1 sheet of this plaid left, and truthfully, I don't see that I would use that by itself. So I'm just leaving the plaid up. So because I have these ones with duplicates still available, I definitely want to use these 2. And what happens is when you cut each one of these, I'm going to get 3 big sheets. So 3 of the cards will have this big red in the back. 3 will have this. And then I need to pick a 3rd one with a 3rd print in it. And I'm actually thinking to use this one. It has some fun, like kitchen-y kind of things in it with the salt, pepper shakers. There's some like baking, cooking utensils. Then there's eating utensils, some cups. So what happens is you're going to do this, and then it says to do a big oval with an image and or sentiment here. And I'm thinking that I am going to do that. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to pull from this paper pack. It has the teacups in it. I have teacups and I have some eating utensil dies. So I'm thinking I may do something with that, and maybe a little bit of a doily or something in there is what I'm thinking I may do with this. So again, I can't just look at this and say, okay, this is going to be the big one, this is going to be this one, this is going to be that one, because they're all going to mix and match. So at some point, each one of these is going to be a background. Each one of these is going to be where this like bluish paper is, and one's going to be here. So I want to follow this one a little bit closer to her sketch and see what the 9 cards come out to be. And I did mention in my last month version that I was going to keep an eye on the time. I will tell you that the last card took me approximately 2 hours to do. I did it over the course of 2 days, so I forgot to mention that at the end of the other one. This one, I'll make a note as we go along how far along I'm into that. So this is what I have left. I have this that's a scrap. I have these that are scraps. As silly as it sounds, I'm keeping these for right now as well, because I don't know what's coming up in the other months. I did look ahead to November's, and truthfully, I think I'm going to pull a whole nother paper pack into November's, and I may do that one in a full pack, do the whole pack up like she did in her November one. So I don't know beyond November's what is being called, so I'm going to hold on to these scraps. I don't know, I may need them for like, these may be good for like a flag, like a little like banner flag. So until I'm done with the paper pack, I'm going to hold on to that for now. So I'm going to start cutting this paper up as she's indicated, which I need to cut these 3 in her recipe cutting instructions here. And then I need to get 3 sheets of cardstock, and that is not for the card bases. The card bases are separate. I need to do layers behind. She's calling for layers behind this blue piece and layers behind this square floral piece. Knowing myself the way I do, I'm probably going to put a layer behind here as well, so that, I have that. I don't know yet is I may cut this piece here. I'm probably going to cut that piece out of one of these layers so that I can save on some cardstock. She has you cutting them off to the side of the other ones. I may try and see if I can cut them out of that one. We'll see. And then you're going to wind up having this one section left of some kind of scrap. So I will do that I'm going to save that until we get through these and see if I can use that up like I did on the other card. But by the time this is done, we will have this paper pack gone. Whether it's through a Sheetload of Cards sketch or me doing other sketches outside of that. So I will be back as soon as I have all this cut. I should have mentioned, and I didn't, is I do have one of these papers that I have to pay attention to the dimension of, or the direction of. So when she's talking about cutting this 5 1/4 by 4, I need to make sure that I'm paying attention to cutting it on this, so the 5 1/4, I have to go this way. So just making a mention that if you're going to do this, pay attention to the direction of your papers too. Hello and welcome back. It's Kristen, and it's now Monday evening. I'm doing my second take on this video because it stopped recording previously for a low battery alert. I hope I remember everything that I had noted that I wanted to talk about. So here was the card I came out with. I had these separated earlier. I'm making this, as I explained earlier, using this December 2021 Sheetload of Cards. I followed this pretty close to what she has here. You were supposed to use three sheets of a pattern paper and then cut them all similar and then mix and match. So as you can see here, I did use the red check, and I used it for a background piece, the 3-inch square piece, and then the longer, I don't know if I'm all in frame here, the longer, almost like rectangular piece. So then you mix and match them to get basically the same sketch, but in a different, color combination. Let me make sure I'm on in here. So what I chose to use to finish this off was, like I said, the 3 pages of paper from the Stampin Up Domestic Goddess paperwork. I'm sorry, paperwork. Oh my God, what's my mind on? I have no idea. DSP. You are supposed to bring in some colored cardstock, which I used. This paper pack uses their colored called Calypso Coral and Pool Party, which is a Stampin Up ink color. And I did add an extra layer behind. That was an extra that was not in there. She only called for layers behind the square and the rectangle, but to me it needed to be finished off with the additional layer behind it, so I did add that in. The other things I used for this was the main component was made from this, I just rediscovered this again. This is called a Nice Cuppa, and it was a stamp set from like 2018, maybe 2019 era of Stampin' Up. And I want to bring up and show the dies that matched. I do keep this rubber necker one in here because pretty much this is what if I'm going to use it, I would probably use it with this stamp set. But these dies, I forgot how many different cups were in here and mugs. The silverware, I loved. They do have 2 different patterns that you could cut out to add onto the cups, to put a pattern on the side. Teapot I liked because you could do, this cuts the lid separate, so you can angle the lid on it. And then they had this to cut out the like tea bag, like it's supposed to be like the tag or whatever for it. So I loved this. My only it took me a minute to remember, and the only flaw that was making this is they put these holes in here for you to be able to punch out what you die cut. And it's silverware. I'm gonna do it with silver, and every single one of them, if you can see, came out with these bumps on them. And I did this, I don't know how many different ways to try to get it without them. I used like a paper, well, I started with the foil and got that. I turned it over, so I was die cutting on the back side of it. And the foil will pick up every single crevice cut of any sort that you have in your plates. Which, I'm always going to have something in those plates. I mean, I try to keep them as clean as I can, but that didn't work. I tried doing it where I layer foil with a layer of cardstock over top of it, and then the die. So I would cut through the paper first. Somehow, some way, it still picked up the indents and crevices and stuff from a plate. I have no idea how that happened. So I wound up, I just said, you know what, I've got to just live with this. I tried fussy cutting it, but I couldn't get like the thinness of this handle or the roundness. I think they call that the bowl of the spoon. I couldn't get it to that. So I said, you know what, they're just going to have to live with this the way they are. I don't know what else to do with it. But I've discovered Jill Norwood and her passion for the gingerbreads and the hot cocoa has really been, it really touches me because it's really something I believe in, that I love making and celebrating for the winter. And there's so many options I forgot about with this. Like, I mean, this is going to be great. The smaller size for different size gingers. So I'm looking forward to making some more stuff with this. It just is really, really cute. So I followed this very closely this time. But the only thing was she called for this oval. So, and it looks so big on here. I had to go through a bunch of different ones to finally find what I was looking for. And it was the Stampin' Up layered shapes. And I do believe, again, this is another discontinued die set. But I decided to turn it sideways to make it look like a saucer for underneath the teacup. Instead of where she has it going vertical, I just made it horizontal. So that's pretty much the only change I made, and the extra layer that I made in this. I stamped all of my teacups using the Pool Party ink from Stampin' Up. And then I just used Memento Tuxedo Black for the You Are Terrific and my little tea bag tag. And these ones just look like they needed something else. They just, it looked bare over here. The other ones, because of the color saturation, looked much better. So I just put, that's supposed to be like a thing of steam coming up that they made. So I just put that over there. I figured it just kind of filled that space in. So this is what I came up with. I'm going to be uploading this for the hashtag of the Sheetloads of December 2021. I have more sheet loads that I used with this paper pack. Like I mentioned earlier, I had 2 different ones that I did in 2022. I'm working backwards, so I am coming up with the next one being November 2021. That one I already know I want to do Christmas. You see that video, you'll understand why. There's an element in there that's definitely screaming Christmas to me. And I think I'm going to pick, I'm going to take a 6x6 paper pack that I may have. Like I know I have some paper packs and I have multiples of them. I think I want to take one 6x6 and do the whole paper pack in that sheet load. So check out my next video, because I'm going to have one, like I said, where I'm going to just mass produce and use up a whole paper pack is what my goal is. This one, like I said, you used to 3, you came up with 9 cards. I mentioned earlier that I was going to let you know how long it took, and I did stop in the middle of this to have dinner. So I took that out of the time, but I want to say it was 2.5 hours to do this whole thing, but I probably spent a good hour just coming up with what I consider the embellishment, which was the white saucer part and up, because I spent a lot of time trying to get this spoon. I probably spent a good half hour just trying to figure out the way to cut that spoon. And I, again, I understand how I'm going to use it, because I do want to use it more. I did have other dies in my stash, but they looked more like a baking wooden spoon, so it didn't look right, or they were small, like this size in length, and they just didn't look right with this scale of a teacup. So if I use this again, I'm just knowing that's what I'm going to do, or I'm going to try and get myself a different spoon die. We'll see what I can find. But I hope that answers all the questions on this. I'm getting to the end of April, so I'm not going to be able to use that. I don't plan to use the hashtag of yellow in April, but I will be putting this up for Saturday morning make, which is Jill Norwood's Share Your Heart, which is, emphasis on the art, because I did spend this on my weekend, and hope you enjoyed it. I'd appreciate it if you liked this video, if you could give it a thumbs up. I would love to have you as a subscriber. I'm trying to get it to my 1,000. That's my goal, is to try and reach that as soon as I can, because then I could do some live stuff. And I have several things I'd like to do live. Oh, the other mention was I did use the Whisper White Baker's Twine, which is that same one that's the thickness of embroidery thread that you use for counter cross stitch. And I got a little overzealous with my using of the ink. So I did have to use a Jello roll on this one to get the white back in there. And I did leave the cup kind of rounded and only glued on the edge so that you get a little bit of dimension. You could probably put foam dots in the center if you wanted to, and then just glue the edges, but the die came out kind of rounded, and I thought it was enough rounded to give it a little bit of a dimension on there. So I'm going to be off to start my next card. Like I said, I currently am working on some stuff for me personally, so I'll have another video in between that shows something that's a little bit more in depth and a little bit more involved for a stamping project. And then I'm also going to be working on the next sheetload of cards. So I appreciate you checking me out. If you have comments, especially if you know how to do this without getting those bumps, I would love to know. Please, please, please share. So I appreciate your time, and have a nice night.